Welcome to Season 1, Episode 13 of the Home Healthcare Today show. I am your host, Dr. Cleamon Moore. It's September, and here in the month of September, we are going to focus on World Alzheimer's Awareness. We are joined today by Mr. Edward Shebab. Edward is the co-founder and managing partner of Memory Health. Edward J. Shebab is co-founder and managing partner of Birmingham, Michigan-based Memory Health. Shebab's career began in the banking industry, where he eventually served as an executive officer and treasurer of Franklin Bank. Following the sale of the bank, Shebab went to co-founded EMM Capital Management, a private boutique equity investment firm specializing in the energy sector, and Titan Global Oil Services, a global supplier of oil and well service personnel. In 2019, Shebab invested in a new, groundbreaking product, scientifically proven to treat neurodegenerative diseases, particularly in patients suffering from onset Alzheimer's and dementia, now known as Memory Health. Shebab's mother was living with advanced Alzheimer's at the time. After experiencing the painful struggle, he committed to not only investing in the product and growth of the company, but also became managing partner, passionately dedicated to improving people's lives. Shebab and his family are deeply involved in fundraising for JDRF, the Shrine of St. Jude, and St. Jude's Children's Hospital. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in finance from the University of Detroit and attended law school at the University of Detroit School of Law. Edward, welcome to our show today.
Doctor, thank you for having me.
Edward, thank you so much for joining us to sit down and discuss a groundbreaking product, as well as to identify ways that the product could help patients.
Yeah.
Edward, tell us a little bit more about you. Where did you grow up, and how did you get this desire in your heart?
Well, certainly. I was born in Grosse Pointe. I grew up in St. Clair Shores. As you mentioned, I'm a local boy. I attended the University of Detroit. I will say it was the U of D, not the U of D Mercy at the time.
Right.
And I did attend law school. While in law school, my father passed away.
Yes.
And after my second year, I decided it's time for me to try and make a living, and got involved in the financial area. And as you mentioned, kind of grew up in the financial area. Became an executive officer of the bank and moved forward from there.
Wonderful.
Doctor, one of the things I always felt was interesting when I was at the bank, as an executive officer, we had a handful of our largest clients that we were always supposed to be where the buck stops. If there was an issue all along the play and they couldn't get something done, they would reach out, and it was my job to make sure something happened for them. Fortunately for me, that group was all entrepreneurs.
Sure.
Who had built their own companies. And I said to myself, one day I want to be that guy.
Yes.
And so when we sold the bank, I had a chance to be that guy.
Okay.
What I will say to you and all your listeners and watchers of the show, it's a lot easier said than done.
It is.
So
I agree.
We travel roads and really got involved in developing a company called Titan Global Oil Services, which grew from the back of a napkin idea to a pretty successful company. We joke that it was an overnight success that took 13 years.
I get it.
But from that, it provided me the opportunity to do other things. And one of the things that became a passion in my life that I didn't realize it would be a passion in my life was helping people with demented brains, Alzheimer's and dementia.
Yes.
And that really came about a little bit out of my own naivety and dealing with the issues that my mother was faced with.
Absolutely.
Was at her house one day and enjoying my conversation with her, and it dawned on me, and it was pretty apparent, she had no idea who I was.
Yes.
And at that point, I realized I have to do something about this.
Yes.
And here's the naivety. said, look, I've built companies.
Yep.
I'm successful in doing that. I can fix this problem.
Absolutely.
Well, as an entrepreneur, as you know as well, we always see the opportunity to make something happen. We don't necessarily consider all the walls that are in front of us, but we break through those.
Absolutely.
And I was sitting down and doing all this research and taking a look at what was out there to help people with Alzheimer's disease.
Yes.
And I came across some studies that were out there. Well, unbeknownst to me, a dear friend of mine was actually involved in this product before I was.
How about that?
And I'm sitting down with who is now my co-partner in the company, and I said, his name is Frederick Jouet. I said, Frederick, this is what I'm faced with.
Yes.
And he said to me, Eddie, this product is coming to market. It's not really monetized yet.
Yes.
But why don't you give it to your mother and see how it might be able to help her?
Okay. Yeah.
And I said, very good.
Yes.
And so then I was given the whole book of research, and I kind of poured through it. I have an inquisitive mind like many entrepreneurs do.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
And really spent a lot of time trying to understand what separated this. Why is this something I should consider
Yes.
versus what's out there in pharma?
Right.
And I did that. I gave it to my mother. And I proceeded down this road as it relates to memory health.
Sure.
One of the unfortunate stories that came about as a result of that, it's not a story, it's a track of life. We now know that Alzheimer's patients, people with dementia, when they walk through a door
Yes.
in this struggle with the disease, they're not coming back. For my mother, the day she really did not know who I was
Yes.
really that door. But the studies that I was involved with, as far as reading about them and understanding them, this product really had significant benefits to those people suffering with early onset. So they hadn't gone through the door yet.
Exactly. Gotcha.
And that really began to spark much more interest. And so I said to my now partner, I said, look, Frederick, I believe in the product. I believe in the science. I've done a lot of research into it. If you need some funding to take it forward, let me know.
How about that?
And
Yes.
he said to me, came back about 6 months later and said, here's an opportunity to do that. I said, fine, never thinking I would be actually involved in running the product.
Wonderful, Edward. Wonderful.
But he was involved in another company. His product started to languish a bit. And I said, this is way too important to let
Yes.
it go. The oil company's doing quite well. Let me see what I can do. And so that's how I started this journey with memory health.
Wonderful.
And it's
Edward.
my goal. It's really a passion. I'm in a unique opportunity.
Yep.
You know, I've been very fortunate with the oil company. It's availed me the opportunity to kind of take some time and build this brand and get it, because it's really a passion. I don't want people having to sit across from their parent,
Yep.
and their parent has no idea who they are.
Absolutely, Eddie. And Eddie, what I gleaned, and I gleaned a lot from your intro there about the pain and anguish of seeing your mom struggle, right, with Alzheimer's and not being able to recognize you. And being a successful entrepreneur, you said to yourself, if I have one wish, it's for her to know who I am. It's for her mind to be restored to 100% of like knowing what I did yesterday, even though I didn't tell her what I did. She just happened to know what I did because she was my mom, right? To saying to yourself, there's something I can do, and then being fortunate enough to have a friend that says, hey man, here's something that I've worked on. Here's something that has been clinically tried and tested. Yeah, so it took a lot of courage for you to take him up on that. So, Edward, what's in it? What are some of the, I guess, ingredients, the composition of it that led you to say to your friend, hey, man, I think I will give this to my mother to try?
Yeah, that's a great question. First, the first and foremost thing that is really important about memory health, doctor, is that it has gone through now, as we speak today, 5 randomized, double-blind, placebo clinical trials.
Very good. Very good.
And in all those trials, from demented, which is a term we use for Alzheimer's, dementia, all the way down to now healthy brains,
Yes.
we've seen increases in mood, memory, cognitive function across the board.
Wow. Yes.
So now I know that I can help people who are suffering early onset, as well as everybody in your audience,
Yes.
you and I both.
Absolutely.
Right? And in fact, my children take the product. But
Yes.
So that was the first thing. Let's take a look at the science. The other aspect of the science that was very important to me is memory health didn't pay for any of the science. It was selected through public funding of clinical trials for research.
Great.
So that's so important. And so that was the process. And then to your point, well, what's in the product?
Yes.
The thing that I think is amazing, and it's really phenomenal, is it's all natural products.
Hey, there we go.
So it's carotenoids and omega. And people say, well, what are carotenoids?
Yes.
Carotenoids give substance to leafy green vegetables.
Yes.
It's the color in peppers. It's the color in spinach. It's the
Yeah.
color. And this is a substance tool. Well, unbeknownst to me,
Yes.
we have carotenoids in our brain.
Yes, we do.
And we have carotenoids in our eyes and on our skin. And that's a nutritional source for our body.
Mm-hmm.
So the aspect here is we are feeding the brain, because there are multiple carotenoid centers located in the brain, with carotenoids.
Absolutely.
And omega, which in this case is EPA and DHA, and the composition split that's actually in our brain.
Yes.
So carotenoids, as we said, are found in nature. You
Yes.
could eat them.
Yes.
The problem is, through consuming vegetables, peppers, and so forth, we're just not getting enough.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And one of the things we point to a lot, and one of the things that was interesting to me, is the FDA has shown that a bowl of spinach in 1953, to get the nutritional value out of that today, you'd have to eat 40 bowls.
Oh, and that's not too tasty
That's right.
of an option.
No.
Unless you're Popeye.
That's right. That's
There
right.
you go.
You're at Garden of the Straight. So the problem that we're having is we just can't consume enough.
Nope.
And
There
the
we go.
sad thing that we've seen with Alzheimer's patients in autopsies is that their brains shrink
Mm-hmm.
and they get dark in color. And part of the problem with that is they're not getting the proper nourishment
Absolutely.
to the brain. And really, when you think about our own diets, are we getting enough of the substance? We really aren't.
Yeah.
And so it's all natural. There are no side effects, because the great thing about the body, it says, well, look, doctor, you're filled up on carotenoids. You don't need any more, so it's passed through the system.
Gotcha.
There's no negative response to the product. So for me, the idea that it was clinically trialed, real science.
Yep.
You know, and you've seen this a lot. People claim they have science. Well, what they talk about usually is omega was used in a scientific study, and my product has omega, so therefore I have science. And the reality is, your product wasn't tested.
No.
The omega was tested.
Exactly.
But we say, and we're able to show, our product now has gone through 5 randomized, double-blind, placebo trials and written up in fairly high-impact journals, which is, again, adds to the credibility and separates memory health from really all the products out there.
Sure does, Eddie. Sure does. And this is really encouraging and inspiring stuff. And as you mentioned some of those journals, I imagine that some of them are, of course, medical and peer-reviewed journals and publications. How has the medical community responded so far to memory health?
Well, it's a great question.
Yes.
And when I took over this, I said, look, I need to get this into as many hands as possible.
Yes.
Now, how can I do that? Well, I could do the traditional farmer track, which is knock on doctors' offices and
Yes.
say, here's my product. But my real thought process was to take the product to the people and say, this is a great product. This is real science, real clinical trials. It's all natural, won't hurt you.
Absolutely.
And there'll be benefits. And my hope with that was to create a groundswell among the patient populace to say,
Yes.
Doc, here's a
Yep.
product here. I'd like you to take a look at. What do you think about it? And that's kind of how it's been working for us.
Okay, very good.
So as we've seen the growth across the nation, we have doctors in different regions recommending our product that I've never even talked to.
Wonderful.
Which
There
is
you go.
really how I wanted it to go, because I want more of an organic
Absolutely.
approach to this product.
Absolutely.
We have a great doctor here in town who's also very active in the podcast world, outstanding cardiologist. Basically said, I love the science behind your product.
Yes.
I'm going to rep it to my cardiology patients.
Wonderful.
So this, to me, is how we need to make it work.
Absolutely.
And it continues to grow in that regard. It's very important to me
Yeah.
to keep it as pure and as organic. Sometimes the sale process of knocking on a doctor's door
Yes.
is fraught with other things you need to do to get it. I'd rather
get
have the
that.
patients say, I want the product.
Eddie, this is good stuff. Eddie, I got another question prior to our commercial. And speaking of commercials, right, there are a lot of patients, a lot of listeners and viewers out there that see commercials, advertisements, promotions all the time for products to improve their energy, to improve their memory. Eddie, what are some ideas that you want to give listeners and viewers prior to our commercial about why they should choose Memory Health over some of those competing brands that they continuously get inundated with via television, internet, and print?
It's a great question. And unfortunately, there's a lot of noise out there. And
Yep.
unfortunately, there's a lot of product that's not very good that has big advertising budgets.
Sure.
So, 4 points that I would say about memory health. Memory health was 20 years in the making before it came to market. Number two, it has now gone through 5 clinical trials. The product itself was used to support demented brains to healthy brains. And across the board, the published research was increases in mood, very important, especially with demented brains.
Yes.
Increases in memory, that's what we're fighting, right?
We're fighting it.
Brain
Yeah.
fog, elimination of brain fog, cognitive function, executive function.
Yes.
That's real science, that's out there, published by real scientists. Not
Absolutely.
me saying this product's found somewhere else.
Yeah.
Very proud to announce we have now received our 3rd treatment patent.
Wow.
Well, supplements don't
Congratulations.
normally get treatment patents.
Yep.
We are patented for the prevention and treatment of neurodegenerative disease.
Indeed.
That means our science has to support the patent claim.
Yes, it does.
And we now have patents here in the United States, here in Great Britain, and in Ireland.
Wonderful.
So again, another area that's you really take a look at the science behind the product. Is it real? Take a look at, are there any patents associated with
Exactly.
it? We just received the supplement certified seal of approval, which basically means that everything we tell you that's in our product
Yes.
is in
It's
our
there.
product.
Wonderful.
60% of the supplements that were surveyed failed. Memory Health's product was tested not only at construction date, which by the way, it's made here in the United States,
Absolutely.
to look at not only the ingredients, but the stability of the ingredients, 6 months after production and a year after production. So what we're telling you,
Yeah.
you have exactly what we told you were going to have throughout the life of the product.
That's what we're talking about, Eddie. Eddie, we're going to go to a commercial for our listeners and viewers, and we're going to come back and talk more and take a deeper dive into memory health.
Great.
As Americans, we're defined by our grit, our toughness, our excellence, and our multiculturalism. But here in Detroit and Southeast Michigan, we are battle tested. That's our advantage. We've been hit rather hard by the pandemic and other health challenges. Allow American Advantage Home Care to provide skilled home care services for you in the comfort of your own home. We are Joint Commission accredited and CMS certified. Call us today. Welcome back to Season 1, Episode 13 of the Home Health Care Today show. We are still joined by Mr. Edward Shebab of Memory Health. And in this second half of our interview, we're going to take a deeper dive to learn more about this groundbreaking product. So, Eddie, back to Memory Health. What is the, recommended dosage for patients to take? Should they take it with water, without? Should they take it on an empty stomach? Let's dive into some of those things.
Yes, the dosage is 3 pills once a day.
Okay.
And that has to do with the carotenoid and omega compound,
Yes.
providing the necessary boost, let's say, to the carotenoid centers in the brain, and also breaking through the blood-brain barrier to get to the brain and feed the brain. So it's 3 pills once a day.
Okay.
You can take it with meals, obviously take it with water.
Yep.
Or I personally don't take it with meals.
Yep.
It's like I'm working on memory, and I take it whenever I remember to do it. So,
That's
but you
Exactly.
you can take it with meals. Everything's always recommended with that.
Sure.
But that's basically how we do it.
Good stuff, Eddie. Eddie, how have patients, as we, because the truth and the efficacy of what this product does is in the, improved memory of patients who have onset, Alzheimer's. So what are some of the, testimonials, if you will, from the patient-client community?
I have to tell you, that to me is one of the really fun things and great things about the product. We get calls all the time talking about how it's made a difference in my life,
Yep.
how it's made a difference in my parents' life.
Yes.
And so we've had great reaction to the product. A lot of people have noticed, the first thing they notice is usually a mood increase,
Good.
be it diseased or healthy brain. And that has to do, obviously, and we talk about that, the brain's getting fed, so we're starting to work our way through the process.
Yes.
The thing that's very important, and the thing that everybody should know, is there's a lot of supplements that'll put caffeine into their product.
It
Why?
is. Yes.
Because
Boost.
you feel like, oh, wow,
Yep.
it's working.
Yep.
In reality, we don't do any of that because this is really a lifelong journey.
Yes.
And we were talking a little bit off the air. We were able to measure how the product gets to the brain through the macula, and the macula is brain tissue, and the patients were given the product. Before they were given the product, they measured the serum levels of carotenoid and omega in the macula. And as they went through the studies, that continued to be measured. And what they saw was a linear increase in the serum level.
Hey.
So think of it like filling up your gas tank.
Yes.
And so you are filling up the gas tank, the brain's getting the food that it needs. But the other side of that is, but the brain's feeding, right, in a sense. If you stop taking the product, what happens?
Yes, that's a decrease.
That's
Yes.
exactly right. So we say this is a lifelong journey. It's a lifelong journey to better brain health. Our patients, our clients, our friends, I like to call them my friends, have been sending us letters all the time. You know, I've noticed my mood's better, my memory, I'm remembering things I've forgotten, my cognitive function. But doctor, I want to share one thing with you that really caught me off guard. I received a phone call. They said, you know, I've been taking my product. 60-year-old man. He said, my memory's fine. I mean, I really see a difference, but my balance is better.
Oh.
I said, balance?
There you go.
So I ended up calling the researchers in Waterford, Ireland, who did the initial studies on the product. They said, you know, that's interesting because there is a carotenoid center in the cortex of the brain, which helps with balance, right?
Absolutely.
And they said, what that is telling us is that the brain is dispersing it to where it needs it. Which again is phenomenal. So, and the other thing for me, and I think it's so important, we have the anecdotal phone calls in, but we also have the real research. And the thing that was really the breakthrough in this, not only did the Alzheimer's patients in the control group saw increases in mood, memory, and cognitive function, but in half of those patients, a forestalling of the ongoing effects of the disease, which was huge, and got the product written up in the Journal of Alzheimer's Medicine and say, this is a glimmer of hope. It's not a cure, but it's a glimmer of hope.
And that's what we need.
So we take that torch and we walk it all the way back, and I have so many things I want to approach with this, both healthy brains, demented brains. CTE is a big thing. You know, we're both former athletes.
Absolutely.
In my case, former is a term that's really former, but I know I was concussed. And my son is quite an athlete. He plays a position in baseball as catcher. He's a quarterback in football. I can't think of two more positions that are more subjected to head trauma than that. And so he takes the product. Why? Because I'm feeding his brain. I'm fortifying his brain today.
Absolutely.
It's a lifelong journey.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And I got a comical correction. You were probably a great former athlete. In terms of me, I might have been a crossing guard and just pointed students in the right direction.
I don't know. The former is a long time now for me. So.
This is good stuff. All right. So we already covered that there's no no ill effect.
That's right.
To the product. And as you know, American Advantage Home Care, you know, we take care of hundreds of homebound patients across Metro Detroit. Eddie, and what would be your recommendation for, you know, homebound patients to, you know, should they seek the product, or should they ask their gerontologist or primary care physician about it? What would your thoughts be for some of our homebound folks that want to increase the sharpness of their mind or their brain and cognitive abilities?
Yeah, you know, that's a very good question, because as we know, people, once they become isolated, if they're homebound and not getting a lot of interaction, the brain does start to get foggy. And unfortunately, in some cases, leads to quite a bit of depression.
Absolutely.
I would suggest that they take the product. Listen, at the end of the day, everybody in this room, everybody should be taking the product. So that, to me, I mean, we talk about, well, I'm going to take an aspirine for my heart, I'm going to take a multivitamin. Well, we don't really do anything for our brains, and we need our brains to work. So yes, and it, you know, if you're concerned at all, seek out your doctor. You know, many of them, that's the problem that I think we run into sometimes with physicians. They're not really supplement focused.
True.
They're pharma focused because pharma's in their office all the time.
Yep.
And so what we have to do is try and educate them on the benefits of this. The difference for us is our science is real.
Yes.
It's out there, everybody can read it. And so I would approach it both ways. But definitely, I can't say it enough. I think many people would be helped. Not necessarily if you have brain disease,
Sure.
but across the spectrum.
Absolutely. This is good, Eddie. This is really good. Eddie, affordability.
Yeah.
We're right here, West Side, Detroit. Affordability, the cost, and accessibility. How can folks get their hands on the product?
That's a great question, and it was one of the focuses for us.
Yeah.
We've gone to great lengths to ensure that we're producing the best possible product the market has. Not only from the science that's been involved, but how the product's constructed. Where is the product sourced from? It's all American made. It's sourced organically. Everything that's so important. The omega comes from the North Sea. Small fish used for the omega. So it's all very important. But the question is, I can't produce a product that's $100 a month.
No.
Because I can't get it to anybody's hand. So we really tried to look at a good balance. The product price right now is $49 retail. Subscription, it's $44. We have some programs that we work with some of the underprivileged to help them in that regard.
Yes.
And it's very important to us because we really wanted to find the price point that could get out and people could buy it and afford it and use it. Because, again, like I said, and you know as well, if we price our products too expensive, nobody's going to be able to use it.
Exactly.
Right? Especially people that we think need to get it.
There you go.
So the best way to access this is right to our website, memoryhealth.com. One of the reasons why we do that, we eliminate markup.
Sure do.
So you come right to our source. We sell directly. Our distribution warehouse is in Arizona. It ships all across the country, all across the world.
Wonderful.
And that's how you do it. So memoryhealth.com really is the best way, and you'll see some opportunities to acquire the product in that regard.
Very timely discussion, Eddie. Very timely. Great product to get our hands on, memoryhealth.com. Everett, what's next? What's next for Memory Health as we, commemorate and address, World Alzheimer's Awareness Month? Where do you see the product going in the future?
Great question.
Yeah.
I've expressed this to you as a passion of mine. I want to get it into the hands of a lot of people. So for me, it's constantly, how do we access? How do we get it in front of people? How do we show them that this is really a quality product? You don't have to rely on pharma, right? You have a product here that is natural, no side effects, affordable, and you can get it, right?
Absolutely.
And so for me, it's continuing to grow that. You'll begin to see more national advertisement, TV and radio. Again, to build the organic approach.
Sure.
Speaking with people like yourself, to build the organic approach.
Yep.
Because I think it's when it's organic, it's better.
Yes, it is.
And that's really the key. So Memory Health is coming out with some new packaging, but essentially it's continuing to grow the brand, being involved in some of these other media formats to continue to grow it.
Wonderful. Well, Edward, congratulations.
Thank you.
On the product, the 5 clinical trials, the 3 patents, the efficacy of it, making that transition in your professional and personal life to give back and do more for others. So, Eddie, congratulations on that, and thank you for being such a informative guest on our show.
Doctor, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Good luck.